How the do I read a food label?
BananaTV.
Hey guys and girls, it's Kaylee from BananaTV. Today's video is on how to read a food label. First of all, I want to mention they do not make it easy on us, so not knowing how to properly read a food label is nothing to be ashamed of. As an example, most products show fat in 3 different places calculated in 3 different ways, so it's no wonder that people are getting confused. So hopefully today's video will help to clear things up. As a disclaimer, I do want to say the easiest way to possibly read a food label is to go for whole foods. If you're going for whole vegan foods, you are never going to have to read a food label for the rest of your foreseeable future. If you don't want to use that, you want to use some maybe pre-made sauces or processed foods, things like that, it's a really good idea to know how to properly read a food label. So the first thing is to never, ever, ever believe what is on the front of the package. They can put pretty much anything and they can warp anything. They may advertise something as 50% less fat or 25% less sodium. Those things are very misleading, so never believe the front of a food label. The second thing you want to do is take a look at the ingredients. Here you're basically looking for 2 things, that's animal products and oils. Animal products, you're basically looking out for the main ones, things like chicken broth, egg yolks, milk, all of those kinds of things. But you also need to be familiar with other things like casein or whey. Those are 2 things that are not vegan. They are actually the protein found in dairy. So make sure when you're first coming to a vegan lifestyle, you need to get familiar with all of the different terms that they use for animal products. So a good idea, if you don't know what something is, look it up before you buy it. The second thing is oils. All oils. So that's coconut oil, olive oil, all of those oils are 100% pure refined fat and not something that you want to be taking in. So number 1, never believe the front of the food label. Number 2, check the ingredients list. And number 3 is to read the fat. Fat, like I said before, is one of the trickiest ones to understand of it all. They put it in 3 different places and they measure it in 3 different ways. They measure it through calories, percentage, and grams. So what are you supposed to look at? Grams can be manipulated by serving size, and percent is usually the percent of fat by weight. So the only truest form of trying to figure out how much fat is in something is to go by calories from fat. Low-fat foods are often just watered-down versions of the true form. That's like 2% milk. If you guys haven't seen that video, that's a pretty funny one. 2% milk is actually 35% fat. 35% total calories are coming from fat. But how do they get away with this? It's because they are measuring it by weight. The easiest way to think of this is if you take a stick of butter and then you put it in a glass of water. That doesn't change how much fat is in the total thing. It's just changing how much volume there is. Just to show you guys how manipulative these advertisements can be. The first thing I want to cover about this is the types of fat. So you actually only need about 3 to 5% of your total calories coming from essential fatty acids. The average American intake is 35%. Pretty crazy. There's 3 types of fat that you want to stay away from. The first is saturated fat. That's found in things like lard, butter, cheese, chicken fat, that kind of thing. The second is saturated vegetable oil. So that's things like coconut oil, palm oil, that kind of thing. And the third is man-made saturated vegetable oils. So things like partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, shortening, or margarine. So because there's percentage, grams, and calories, how are you supposed to figure this out? The easiest and most true form that you can possibly use is calories from fat. So on a food label, it's going to say total calories and then calories from fat. What you do is divide them to get the percent of total fat calories in that particular product. I'm going to show you guys a few examples a little bit later on. Reading labels is hard because so much of it has been manipulated. They can use really small serving sizes to trick you into thinking that something has less fat or less sodium than it actually does. And this is why learning to read a food label properly is so important. So first, never believe the front. Second, look at the ingredients. Third, look at the fat. And fourth, we're going to look at sodium. Your body only requires about 250 milligrams of sodium. So by just eating sufficient calories from fruits and vegetables alone, you're going to attain roughly 500 milligrams of sodium. It's going to be very, very difficult for you not to meet your sodium requirements. Personally, we recommend under 1,000 milligrams a day. Now, the average American has over 3 times that much. The American average consumption of sodium per person per day is 3,400 milligrams. It is crazy. If you guys want more information on what salt actually does to your body, I would highly recommend that you check out my salt experiment. In this 2-week experiment, I sacrificed my body so that you guys can see the true effects of sodium on your body. So to give you a frame of reference when you're looking at a package, a single teaspoon is about 2,200 milligrams of sodium. So how do you figure out the true sodium in something? Basically, you take the milligram or grams and times that by the number of servings that there are. So to recap very quickly, number 1, never believe the front. Number 2, look at the ingredients list. Number 3, look at the fat. And number 4, look at the sodium. So let's take a look at some examples. Recently, we've been making some delicious, although not something that we would eat every day, cookies as Christmas presents for some people. We have some non-dairy milk, which will be an excellent example for you guys. So the front, it's advertising as 90 calories per serving, 50% more calcium than dairy milk. It's dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, vanilla flavor, all of these different kinds of things. You can basically ignore all of it and flip it over to the ingredients. Coconut milk, which is filtered water and coconut cream. Cane sugar contains 2% or less of vitamin and mineral blends, so that's calcium carbonate, vitamin A palmitate, vitamin B12, vitamin D2, sea salt, natural flavors, sunflower lecithin, locust bean gum, and gelling gum. No animal products, which is awesome, and no oils. Thumbs up so far. Now we want to calculate our fat. There's calories from fat, which is 50, total fat, which is 5 grams, or percent of daily value, which is 8%. We want to completely ignore the percent and the grams. What we're focused on is the calories from fat. So you take calories from fat and divide that by total fat. So here it would be 50 divided by 90, which comes out to roughly 56%. Now we know that 56% of total calories are coming from fat. Next, we want to take a look at sodium. Here there's 2 ways to read it. There's 35 milligrams or 2%. We ignore the 2% and we take the milligrams and times it by the number of servings per container. 35 times 8 comes out to 280 milligrams. That's 280 milligrams for this entire thing. Now why this is important is because of things like sauces. Sauces tend to have very small serving sizes. So you might look at the food label and go, oh, it only has 35 milligrams of sodium. Awesome. Meanwhile, there's 70 servings per container. Alright, hopefully that one makes sense. If you have questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Next one is peanut butter. Completely ignore the front, go directly to the back where it says ingredients. Roasted peanuts and sugar contains 2% or less of molasses, fully hydrogenated vegetable oil, rapeseed and soybean, mono and diglycerides, salt. So the good news, no animal products. The bad news is that it does have oil. As a side note, there are lots of peanut butters that don't have oil. So next we want to take a look at the fat. Fat calories 130, total fat 16 grams, percent daily value 24. So again, we don't even look at the grams or the percent daily value. We go directly to the calories from fat. And we divide that by total calories, which is 190. So it comes out to 68%. So 68% of the total calories in this product are coming from fat. Pretty high. Next, we want to take a look at sodium. So milligrams is 135 or 6%. Ignore the percent. Basically every percent that's on a food label, just pretend it's not even there. So 135 milligrams times there are 11 servings per container. This means in the whole container there's 1,485 milligrams of sodium. Next example is a tomato sauce. So the front, completely ignore the front, go straight to the ingredients list. Ingredients, tomatoes. That was easy. Now we go to fat. 0, 0, 0. Awesome. So 0 calories from fat divided by total calories, which is 32, is still 0. So there are no calories from fat in this tomato sauce. Next, we take a look at the sodium, 10 milligrams or 0%. So how can that be if it's 0% but still there's sodium in there? They always round down. Anything under 0.5% rounds down to 0, and they can legally put 0 on the label. So that is another reason why I say always ignore the percents. So there's 10 milligrams of sodium times serving per container is 4, so that's 40 milligrams of sodium. How is that possible if there's just tomatoes in here? There's no salt. Again, this goes back to the fact that all whole foods have a little bit of sodium in there. So you are definitely going to meet your daily requirement of sodium. I hope that this covers everything. If there's something that you think I missed, please leave it in the comment section down below and I will try to make a separate video on it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody else. Reading food labels is very tricky when you have no idea how to. This is another thing that they forget to teach us in school somehow. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to make your day wonderful, and we'll see you again soon.
Did you know that 2% milk is actually 35% fat? This all boils down to marketing, and it is a spot-on marketing ploy that they've got going here. I'm sure majority of the population